It's that time. Welcome to Roadmap, how to take 3 listings a week until you're ready for more. Each week, we interview a great agent who's consistently taking several listings each month. And we have an exciting guest today. We encourage you to take notes and apply as much of their knowledge as quickly as you can, and then use the copycat principle. Before I introduce our guest, let me introduce my co-host from San Diego, Carly Hathaway. That's carlyhathaway.com. Hi, Carly. How's the real estate business?
Hi, Ren. Hi, everybody. Real estate is fabulous. San Diego is definitely a great place to be a listing agent.
Great. Wonderful. I want to remind everybody we're simulcasting the show on the private Lead Gen Facebook group. They have 52,000 members, so we have a large audience there today as well. And we'll be pausing for a commercial message during the show as a thank you to the Lead Gen folks. Let's welcome our guest today from Dayton, Ohio. And doggone it, he's listing property around Cincinnati. Here we go. Mr. Bryan Ogletree. Welcome to the show again, Bryan. Good to have you back.
Thanks for having me back.
Hi, Bryan. We're so excited to pick your brain today. Thanks for being on.
Thank you, Carly.
Bryan's got some tips that are going to, folks, if you write down 2 or 3 gems here, these are things you can take to the bank and take an extra listing this month. Yes. All righty, good deal. So you've got a good goal for this year.
We do.
And we're just starting the year.
Yes.
The goal is?
Goal is 140 closed transactions.
140 close. Good deal.
Yes.
That's exciting.
I like it. And what did you do last year, Bryan?
108.
108.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, very respectable business for darn sure.
Yeah.
Considering you're in that top 1% on the planet there.
Yeah.
We're trying.
Good deal.
So what changes are you making this year as opposed to last year to bump up to get those extra 30 or 40 listings?
So I'm actually hired a buyer's agent, and she's on full time now, so she's doing phenomenal. So that frees me up not to do more things, but it does allow me to spend more time prospecting and trying to find new business. So that's probably the biggest thing, is leveraging myself out, delegating as much as I possibly can to staff, and then running with just trying to generate leads, present to those leads, and ultimately sell them.
All right, I like it. And is that scary to give up some of your kind of control, or do you just let it go?
It is. It's scary at first, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And it becomes to the point where you don't really even want to touch it anymore once you get comfortable with it. So,
Good.
Can we dig a little deeper on that? So you have admin people, obviously.
Correct. Yes.
What do you have in admin?
So I have a listing coordinator,
Okay.
a transaction coordinator,
Okay.
and then myself and a buyer's agent.
Okay. So with those 2 admins, you've learned to delegate.
Yes.
And
So
a lot of people watching this show struggle delegating, whether it's to a buyer's agent, closing coordinator, whatever. They do it in reverse. They'll read the email and then give it to the other person, as opposed to that person reading all the email and giving you just what you need.
Right.
They tend to reverse things and they need to get out of the way. How did you learn how to delegate to people that you trusted to do a job as good, if not a better job than you trying to do everything?
You have to realize, number one, that you can't do everything. And they can do a better job at the specific things that they do better than you'll ever be able to do multitasking with everything. So that's, I think, the first step. The second thing is you also have to realize that they're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. But the biggest mistake, or the biggest takeaway in that, is the mistakes that they're going to make are less than what the mistake would be of you not giving it up.
Okay, because then you get stretched too thin, and then your service is crappy anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They think it's noble that you're trying to cover all those bases, and then when you don't, oh my God.
Right.
Good. So you have to hire the right person too, obviously.
You do. Yep.
And do you have some checks and balances, a way to follow up behind and things like that? Do you have some routines around that? Or?
Yeah. So what we've done, we've built a checklist around the listing side and the transaction side. So they work off their checklists, and if something's missing, we can always revert back to that. Did you take this step? Has this been accomplished? Where are we at in the process?
Okay.
From the time a contract comes in to close, and from the time a listing comes in until it's closed as well.
Okay. So now you have one buyer agent.
Yes.
And that's gonna create a lot of additional time for you.
Sure.
So what does that look like on the additional time for you? So so your existing roles are basically, is it talk to people, set appointments, and go on and take listings?
That's correct. Yeah.
Do you have
Past clients. I mean, that's literally my largest source of business is my past clients.
Good.
Great.
So can you walk us through kind of your daily routine?
Yeah. So I get in the office. I'm in the office every day at 7:30 in the morning. And I role play until 8, 8:30, depending on what day it is and who I have for role play partners, but no later than 8:30. On the phones, generally from 8:30 to 11:30. We have a team meeting at 11:30 to 12. Lunch from 12 to 1, and then 1 to 2, lead follow-up, first appointments at 3:30 for the day.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And how important is it for you to stay on those tight time frames? Because I hear like even your lunch is like this time to this time always. How important is that?
So if you can master your schedule, things become a lot easier. When you start mixing things around and mixing times around, it's harder to manage. I typically set my appointments for the same time every day, Monday through Thursday, and I have 2 different appointments on Friday and 2 on Saturday as well. Last year I gave up Sundays. I think I worked 2 Sundays last year, but that was by choice.
Okay, so your schedule is nice and tight.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you calling first when you're on the phones by 8 or 8:30?
So I always go to the expired listings first.
Okay.
Because I want to be generally the first person to call. You always want to be first, if you can, but you don't know what their schedule is. You don't know when they're going to be home. You don't know when they're going to pick up their phone, but I always like to try them first. And then we'll go to FSBOs next, followed by past clients, center of influence.
Okay, good.
You can really take this far now that you have, and then when you get your second buyer agent, you really, I mean, you can take this far to where really there's nothing else to do but list property.
And that's really where I want to get. But, back to what, when I said it's hard to delegate and hard to let go, I mean, it's just it is more delegation. It is more letting go of the process.
And when you do, I mean, you're hanging around with, and I watch you hang around with other huge producers that are selling at the level that you are, and you guys network. And so,
absolutely.
I mean, and they're doing 200 and 300 transactions. So
right.
It's almost a matter of over the next 3 years that you're at those sort of numbers.
Yes.
So it's not like an if, it's just following a copycat principle
of
what they're doing, modeling after that, continuing to learn the process of letting go.
If somebody else is doing it, it's certainly possible.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so you do, as Ren and I have seen, you hang out with other top producers. How do you think that changes your mindset or helps you?
Because suddenly your biggest problem is something that they've handled before, and they can help walk you through it. So it's easier to go to that rather than try to learn it yourself or learn how to do it yourself. Reaching out to somebody, knowing that you may not have the answer that they already have or they've already experienced. They've already paid the dumb tax, if you will. They've already made the mistakes. So they can show you how to get to that next level or handle that next problem without going through all the headaches and hassles.
And a lot of the people you hang out with, they have people shadow, and I'm sure you go shadow them.
Yep.
Can somebody who wants to get to 140 come shadow you and see what your morning's like?
Absolutely.
Okay. In Dayton, Ohio.
Yep.
Very easy to get to.
Yeah.
So good.
Good. So how long does your listing appointment usually take?
Typically about 30 minutes.
That's great.
Yep.
That's awesome. And are you sending a pre-listing packet?
Yes, as much as possible. Sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. They want to meet right away. Logistically, just it's not possible. But it's better if they're better prepared. If they're better prepared for the meeting and the appointment, there's less objections that come out during the appointment. It makes for a quicker appointment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're more prepared. Rather than sitting down with them and bombarding them with information, it's easier if they have that in advance, because maybe they're going to come up with questions that you can answer.
And it just looks more professional. It sets you above your competition.
It does.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. Are you including a contract with the price on there or no?
No, not always. And that's one thing I still struggle with, because you always get the objection. You have a really good idea of, when you produce at a high level and you take a lot of listings, you have a very good idea of what houses in that neighborhood will sell for. but it can be difficult because there can be anomalies that you're not prepared for. So, and I know it's one of the things I do still struggle with.
Well, it's hard because you don't want to scare them away.
You don't, but as long as you're not using it as an excuse not to prospect more.
Yeah, true.
Good deal. All righty. Well, it's always fun to check in and watch you going up and up and up and up.
I know.
The
We
power
got
of
to check.
delegation is
Yeah.
and that's how this business is built.
Yeah.
And then, and there's going to be a time when the only thing he does is luxury. Now in Dayton, Ohio, you get some luxury
Yeah.
for a really
I'm waiting
good
for that
price.
day. But honestly, Ren, time in the business will build your business. You can
Yeah.
do this for 30 years and build a decent book of business after 30 years. But if you use the tools and resources like what Vulcan7 provides, you can build that business a lot faster and a lot bigger.
Well, what do they say? There's the people you know and the people you don't know. One of them is bigger.
Sure.
and we definitely help in the category of the people you don't know. Although most people put their database into our system so that they can keep notes and have a scheduled calling pattern. So
Okay.
good deal. Well, anyway, appreciate your time this
Well, thanks for having me.
afternoon. And we'll see you again soon, I'm sure. And congratulations for having such a successful growth and nice bump in your business. And it's always a
Thank
treat.
you.
It's always
Yeah,
a treat.
so let's check in with you in 6 months and see if you're on track to meet your goal. How about that?
That sounds good. That'd be end of July.
Perfect.
Now, if those of you who watched his last show, you already know his secret. Bryan goes and gets Delicious, and they sell it in his market all over the place.
I do.
Grader's Ice Cream, they even have stores there in his market. You don't have to go to graders.com to find the store near you. They have Grader's stores there. And this is the mint chocolate chip is the one for listings. And then Bryan occasionally has a listing that be like 20, 30 days on the market, and he needs it to sell fast. So he personally, actually, he'll be delegating that from now on. Sends his administrator out to the front yard and digs a hole and buries it upside down, and then that listing sells just like that. So you're going to want to get that. If you're eating any other flavor, you're obviously working with buyers. This is the stuff. All right. See you guys next week.
See ya.
Bye. Thanks, Bryan. Thanks, Ren.
Bye, everybody.